So I'm the co-founder of Orwell Avocat, which is a law firm like specialized in innovation, and we advise a lot of actually crypto-related projects in Paris and in France and also abroad. I give some talk, and I'm lecturer in several university mainly about crypto asset and like the legal issue of the blockchain economy. We also organized some not summit, like more like a talk, especially one about Libra in La Sorbonne, just nearby, in December. And I also have a very strong activity of public representation. I'm member of the association of the crypto asset ecosystem in Paris, and we are talking a lot, and that is very interesting, especially when you advise like projects such innovative as Kleros. We talk a lot with like National Assembly, Senate, AMF, it is the French Market Authority, Minister from Bercy, like the Minister of the Economy, to advocate actually the interest of the crypto sector in France, and to like educate them, and to also to be educated by them, understand what they want to regulate, how they want to regulate, and what we can expect from the regulation in France and Europe in the next year. So first, I assume that everybody is comfortable about how Kleros is working, like the crypto economic behind Kleros. Am I right or not? Or should I explain again?
They know about that and know how comfortable they feel, but they know how it works.
Okay, so you know how it works. Like the jurors are anonymous, and they stake some PNK to be selected, and everybody is comfortable with the chilling point, which is the way like you make a decision with Kleros, and it's very important because from a lawyer, it's something like radically different from what we usually do with arbitration court or with like the traditional judicial system. When I define something, I prefer to start with what this thing is not. So we could not say that Kleros is an arbitration or judicial court, because when a lawyer, for instance, is a juror in an arbitration court, it's something private. You can do whatever you want, but you are subject to the procedural safeguard. So you should like ensure that the trial will be fair. For instance, you should ensure that there will be adversarial procedure. So you need to every element you want to produce into the trial, you need to give them to the other party before the judgment. There is like this kind of rules. They are like international, and in Kleros it could be implemented, of course, but it could also not be implemented. And Kleros is not something which is by itself subject to this procedural safeguard. I do not even compare Kleros with jurisdictional court, because of course it's something totally different. It's made by the law, the judges are paid by the states, they are selected by upon a diploma, that kind of stuff. Kleros, it's not a new way of applying the current law, because in Kleros, the law you apply, it could be a contract, and it could be like without. You are not obliged to apply, for instance, the French law if you have a litigation related to a French people. So it's a different way to apply law, and it's not the same law that we are obliged to apply in a jurisdictional court, for instance. And it's very interesting, because when you have crypto somewhere, you have always, right now at this moment, you have always financial or gambling regulations that may apply. It's something because there is a value. So of course, Kleros, it's not a financial like application. We could not say that Kleros is a financial instrument or a derivative product. It's something we never find something to qualify Kleros as this. And it's not a gambling application also, because even if you can make money with Kleros, you do not make money with chance, or it's not like something that is gambling. And it's quite important, because if Kleros was a gambling application, I think I will not be here today to talk with you about Kleros. So personally, I define Kleros as a digital decision-making protocol because it is used right now to, it could be used to resolve litigation between parties, but it could be used for a lot of things actually, just like decision making. And it's based on crypto-economic mechanism, and this is very interesting because it's maybe obvious for you, but these two parts of the definition, like to be a protocol, to be crypto-economic based, it's something which have like deep consequences when you are trying to legally manage or to legally qualify Kleros. Digital protocol is not regulated. Like it's like internet. You never sue internet. You never ask internet to go into the court to testify in a trial with the GDPR. You are suing a company always, and the company is running an application. So protocol is not regulated. So, but the application or the platform are always regulated. In other words, we could say that if there is like a legal problem with what we call Kleros right now, it could never hit the protocol part. So the Kleros as a protocol will be like something neutral for the law actually and for the lawyer. But today Kleros is both. Kleros is a protocol, an open source protocol, but it's also a website. You have also a Kleros court, you have Kleros escrow, and this Kleros application actually are subject to regulation. What kind of regulation? There is actually plenty of regulations that may apply. The most obvious one is, of course, the difference between hosting provider liability and content editor. So from what I see about Kleros, it's an hosting provider. It means that if, for instance, I want to, during a trial, I want to insult or to have a hate speech during a trial, Kleros will, of course, not be liable. And Kleros will not be able to withdraw, to delete the content, because the content of Kleros is undeletable. I don't know if it's English, but you understand me. But Kleros will be able to, into the website part, the interface, will be able to disconnect this hate speech, for instance, from the website, so the user will not be able to see this hate speech, and it will be like exactly what happened with Google, for instance. Google never removes content, it just like breaks the link between the content and the user. There is also, of course, the regulations, the traditional one, about consumer law, for instance, because most of the people in Kleros, they are like individuals, and we could presume that these people, they are like non-professional about Kleros, of course, and these people are protected by the consumer law. So there is like some kind of implication which are usually treated in the term and condition. But in the Kleros have also some clients which are professional. For instance, I think about Edfinex during the token curated list, about the token curated list for the token Edfinex. And between this professional and Kleros, we are into the commercial law, which is, in few words, it's like you are much more. There is no protection in commercial law except fraud, except the very hard. Fraud that may happen. Commercial law, you are between two adults and you are supposed to know what you are doing. And of course, there is the last regulation that may apply. It's the general data protection regulation. And it's, for Kleros, it will be a challenge actually, because from now, Kleros have chosen to be fully transparent, and it makes sense because we are in the beginning of Kleros. So Kleros is, I think, it's what is, I'm talking for myself, of course. I see Kleros right now as a radical experience of decision-making protocol based on crypto economy, and it's something that you have to keep in mind. This regulation will be enforced when Kleros will be becoming popular. When you have 500 people or 1,000 people in the world who use something, nobody cares actually, except these people. So I'm talking about all this regulation, but I do not feel, I'm not worried for Kleros right now, because even if we could not say that Kleros is GDPR compliant, it's not a problem as long as Kleros is not becoming something used by, I don't know, the people who are in the other building, for instance. And based on crypto-economic mechanism, it's something also like radically different from what we see elsewhere. Because, for instance, with Clément, we've been, it was 1 month ago, we've been in a talk about arbitration. It was in La Sorbonne. It was a talk organized by a law diploma, something like, I don't remember who organized this, but it was something made by students in law school. And they were very, very surprised by the fact that the people in Kleros, they are not following what they believe to be like compliant with the law or not. They are following the money. So sometimes it could be aligned, sometimes it's not, and it's something very powerful. But also it could be not dangerous, but it could. I think we could arrive in some very strange decision for the common guy. And so when I try to explain to these people what is Kleros, I told them that Kleros is based on what we could call like economical truth. I put truth between marks because it's not the truth, of course. It's just what we are looking for, and it's very different from the morality, which is a kind of decision-making protocol also, or the judicial system, which is another way to find a kind of truth which is based on procedure and law. So it's something, it's why when I talk with these people, like law teacher, law student, you should not see Kleros as something we will. I will use a French term. We will Uberize or Uberiser the judicial system. It's radically something else. So yeah, it was my second slide. Replace the current dispute resolution system. There is three kind of. For me, I have chosen to show three layers of dispute resolution system. The first one is the judicial court, so it's the main common one, of course. You have the court of the first degree, court of appeal, Supreme Court. There is, in this court, you have very strong procedural guarantee, and something that is especially important in criminal law, for instance, or if you have a civil case with a huge amount, or I don't know, if you want to divorce, that kind of thing, you want to be treated in the respect of the rule of law, the judicial procedure, and you ask it to apply the law. The problem with this court, it's expensive, and I know this because I'm the reason why it's expensive as a lawyer. It's a very like time consuming. For instance, in Paris right now, when you have a civil case, it's like between 1 and 3 years to be judged. So it could be like inefficient as possible. And so actually what happened is most of the litigation, most of the dispute never reach this layer. There is another, I try to show online dispute resolution services, but it could be also arbitration court for business dispute. This is better, but not perfect at all, because it's better because actually they take what happened in the upper layer and they just modernize it, automatize it, and digitalize it. So you put this way to solve dispute, you put it online, and you just modernize archaic services, which is paper-based and consuming, expensive, and indecipherable. So it's better, but if you are ever try to use online arbitration, for instance, the people who will be the juror, they will usually be lawyers. They could be users, random users. It costs a lot. It still costs a lot because a lawyer don't move his ass from the chair for less than 150 euros in Paris. So. And the other difference between Kleros, it's like the procedural guarantee that is not at this time enforced by Kleros, or it could be, but it will need some adjustment, I think. There is more and more services will arrive at this layer, but it's still, I don't know, but maybe Kleros knows these figures more than I. But I believe that 90% of the disputes arise and never reach this layer 2 and layer 3. And there is the layer 1, it's a no-name, I call it no-name dispute resolution system because actually it's all the dispute resolution systems that you use without even be conscious that you are using a dispute resolution system. It's after-sale services, content moderation. When you ask someone to withdraw a content on Facebook, actually you are creating a dispute between you and the people who post this, this bad joke about your mother or something like this. And there is a dispute, and you ask Facebook to act as an arbitrator. It could be also in marketplace or in game when you are playing online in some massive online. I don't remember the name, but you know this game where you have a lot of players. There is also disputes that may arise, and usually it's a game who take in charge the way to solve dispute with the after-sale services. And on this world of dispute resolution, actually, you do not need to have a procedural guarantee or application of the law, a French law in France, for instance, because basically, there is always a way, if you are not satisfied with the after-sale services, you ask me, and we go here. So, for that part, Kleros, as it is designed right now, could be a solution, and could be a very interesting solution, and I think once again about what we talked last time between the dispute resolution who are made by artificial intelligence, but they are actually very stupid. And Kleros could be a way to have something like digital native, very fast, but with human that is taking the decision and that can handle with more like complex case. If something happened between two players in a FIFA, in a match, in a football match in your PlayStation, it's good to have someone who watch what happened 5 seconds after and 5 seconds after to understand who made the wrong things. And in that case, Kleros could be a solution, or for of course a lot of dispute resolution. And Kleros could be also a way to assist technically the people who are, for instance, in content moderation. I don't believe that Facebook or Instagram or TikTok or all the social networks will want in the short range to outsource completely the content moderation, but at the beginning maybe they want that the guys in the suburbs of Paris who are doing all the day the same stuff to do content moderation for the book be helped by Kleros in the first filter. It's just an idea. And in that, my point was to say, in that level, there is actually no problem to use Kleros right now. Of course, if Kleros is compliant with the regulation I talked just before. The regulatory challenge for Kleros, there is a lot actually. This one, for instance, it's a challenge right now because we are in a very blurry regulatory environment which is building. Because Kleros using tokens, crypto asset, it may be subject, we will see, to the extension of the scope of anti-money laundering regulation. I say it may. I don't think it will, but it's something we have to keep in our target, because the scope of anti-money laundering is like very poorly controlled right now. I said because the Financial Action Task Force, which is the international organization who creating guidelines to extend the scope of money laundering, don't understand anything about crypto asset, but of course, as a regulator, he regulates and he starts to extend the scope. So it's not for right now, but it will be maybe in the coming months or coming years. Anyway, when you understand and when you use Kleros, you understand that the risk of money laundering in Kleros are actually very low, because it's just not it's a decision-making protocol. It's not a financial services or that kind of stuff. So I do not talk about it. And of course, the anonymity of jurors are absolutely incompatible. Like, do not match with the requirement of anti-money laundering regulation, which is based on, of course, the identification of your customer. This is very French, actually. In French, we like to regulate everything, so we created a regulation of the dispute resolution services. And of course, Kleros do not enter at all in this regulation. because it was made for online arbitration with human or with like startup, who connect lawyer with client or this kind of stuff. So, sorry for Kleros. This is one of the two main regulation I'm waiting for. I believe Kleros will be faced. Two is as I already told, the GDPR and the trade secret regulation. If Kleros is engaged in a business to business dispute resolution, which today is not compatible. It do not match with the way Kleros is working, like fully transparent. So Kleros will need to choose. I think there will be some choice in the coming futures, but I don't want to to sell the. And of course, there is something else we have to be aware of. It's the gig economy, like Uber, Deliveroo, this kind of platform. Today they are more and more criticized, more and more regulated, because they are. I think you already know the problem by half. But if Kleros use Skyrocket, if there is 1 million people who are working with Kleros as a juror, I think sooner or later some people will start to say, okay, Kleros is a platform like Uber, but with justice, and they will try to ask what is the legal regime of the juror. For instance, they could not be just like a Ethereum address. I mean, for the lawmaker, it's not possible to have that. You will need to, I don't know. We will see. I do not have the answer, but it will be fun. And there is a last, more broad subject. It's the implementation of procedural rules. It will not be like it will be maybe very different from the procedural safeguards that we know in the French law and the European law. But we see it during the EdFinex experience. It's Kleros need to, Kleros or the user of Kleros, that can be professional or individual, need to write a kind of law and a kind of procedural law to make the decision process going well. And that's something very interesting because actually it's terra incognita absolutely. So it means that we will, I say we because I'm also a user of Kleros, but it will be maybe Kleros alone. Maybe try to find, I don't know, framework of procedural rules for Kleros. Maybe it will be something made by the client. If, I don't know, a platform want to use Kleros, and they will maybe need to be assist. I'm here. So it could be the community. You could have procedural rules of the community, procedural rules of the client. Everything is possible with Kleros. And it could be also the law, of course. You could choose, for instance, I want to use Kleros to solve my dispute litigation. I want to just apply the French law. And if there is, and that's it. It exists, so why not use it? I finished already. Do you have maybe any questions or any comments? Yes?
I'm obviously not a lawyer, so I'm not a lawyer. However, my point about the regulatory challenge is the same as Bitcoin, and that is very, very soon. We are even now the Kleros is necessity for human interaction. Very soon when it's fully decentralized government. So these questions then become, how do we shut it down? How do we close off these things? Because like Bitcoin, it has been impossible so far to shut it down. And I think governments have just gone, we can't do this. And the same thing would happen with clouds if we reach that scale. Who do you get back? You could jail all of us. You could jail the whole people. It doesn't make a difference. Clouds will still run. So
you will not go to jail.
no, I'm just making a point. You could, in theory, kidnap us all and put us in a room, and that would make no difference.
The comparison with Bitcoin is very interesting. Of course, Bitcoin protocol is not stoppable. It's censorship, and it is right now. But the Bitcoin ecosystem and today is working by platform, actually by intermediary, by service provider, and these people, they are like incorporate. There are people who are taking benefit from this activity. And even if you do not have a company, which is not the case of Kleros, but why not? Kleros could shut down the company in Paris and becoming like just a Slack. But anyway, there is people behind Kleros, and these people, if they, I don't know, if they take profit of this activity, it's enough for the regulator to chase them if they are violating the law. And it's the main in the legal area. There is really a deep border between protocol, unregulated, neutral. It's just something technical, and we don't care because. In a protocol, there is no human. It's a protocol, it's a language between machines. So, okay. No, nobody will change the juror. It's exactly the same as with what happened with torrent, like for the downloading. Is the major or the states, they do not chase the they start in France to chase the users, but it's not easy actually to do, and it's not very functional. But they just chase a website that propose to download a torrent, and they are making profit for it. So anyway, the problem with me, I don't see the regulation as a threat or as something bad by itself. It's often very poorly implemented, especially when you have technical like disruptive innovation. But the regulation, it's also you want to just sooner or later to protect the user, to protect the people that use something like Kleros or that Bitcoin.
When you say they're protected by the Kleros frameworks, so the user
What?
opts in. If the user opts in to use Kleros, they already know what they're signing up for, and therefore they're protected by the frameworks of Kleros.
It will not be the case if Kleros is becoming a popular application. Of course, right now we are a kind of a family. Everybody knows what it's doing. No problem. I'm not afraid right now about like the compliance of Kleros with the regulation, because we are, I don't know, 1,000 people or 5,000 around the world. Everybody knows what it's doing. It's the same with Bitcoin. At the beginning, everybody was exactly knowing what they were doing with Bitcoin. When Bitcoin becoming something popular, where the taxi driver is starting to buy Bitcoin, the taxi driver, when he have a problem, what he's doing is going to the police station. And when 1,000 people go to the police station, all the police stations say, we need a law. And
then what happens? What do you do?
in France, for instance, Bitcoin is now, for the Bitcoin service providers, they are like regulated.
If you choose to use them.
No, but if you're just a user, it's not a problem. You can just go to the police station if you have a problem or ask for a lawyer. But anyway, the regulation is also a way to make the claim effective. Because if Kleros doesn't exist, if there is a problem between Kleros and the user of Kleros, what can the user can do? And that's not fair, actually.
I agree with you. Points on this. The point I'm making is that you can't go after anyone. You said something like
I know, you can go out for the people who is running Kleros.
But then the service providers move. We have jurisdiction showing now. So if you're not happy with your jurisdiction, you move somewhere else. Binance, other exchanges have done.
It's not so easy. It's not so easy. If you are living in France or if you are living in Europe, no, you can go. Bitcoin, everybody was offshore at the beginning of Bitcoin, but now you see that the main Bitcoin companies, they want to be regulated because actually they want to be close to the client, close to the profit actually. It's capitalism. So that's and they want to have bank account in a good bank, like recognized bank. They want to be protected by the law also because it's a double-edged sword. Huh?
Sure.
Be regulated, it's also a way to be protected.
Yeah.
You
have a choice. You don't have to use a regulated Bitcoin service in the same way you don't have to use a regulated crypto service. There are plenty of options out there that are not regulated.
But for the random guy, you do not have a choice.
Why?
But because if you are, I don't know, if you're in France and you want to buy Bitcoin, for instance, your bank will never let you buy Bitcoin if it's not a regulated platform. They will just stop the money. And for most of the people, that's enough.
How many people do you think buy Bitcoin in cash?
You can try. If you want, if you feel comfortable with.
It's not the trying. That's how I and many other people operate.
No, it's possible, but my grandmother, she don't want to buy Bitcoin.
Sure, she never was my company. Bitcoin is going to be a regulated company.
Sure, I mean, that's fair, I agree with you. You can regulation, but there's also this other side of crypto where you cannot regulate.
No, you cannot regulate forever in any case, but it's like darknet, okay? For me, darknet is something necessary, and I think we agree on this. But darknet, it's like insurance for us. So it exists, it's very small. We will use it if things going bad. But right now, me, when I'm using internet, I want something like Google, easy. You have a recovery, you have after-sales services, you know, and the normal people, if you are not especially technical, especially engaged into the crypto and into politics and so on, you want something smooth. And to be smooth, it's mean, usually it's mean when you are smooth with financial, with tokens, it will be to be regulated.
Particularly what it could mean particularly, so you have you can interact via the Kleros dApp via normal website and this can be regulated. Now, if you don't want to be regulated, you can have everyone running their own local version of the Kleros interface, and then use the software which is provided, which is like a Kleros browser, Kleros internet browser, and that you have regulated. But it means that people need to download software. That means that you create a bit of friction. Compared to all the public and this company which is regulating, which is hosting a server. But even goes there or not, like you have people putting website on IPFS, if you put a cloud version on IPFS, well, no one is really running it. So there's no one is regulating. But then you have friction. Yeah, there's no friction in the code, because there is an update. Now you need to update the version on IPFS, or under the right, what's the right to update the version, so that's more complex. It's physical, but that's the way it's simpler, just add this kind of facilitation, pushing regulation. But as long as regulation is not really like mean, I would say it's really bothering, you don't really have incentive to go through that. But if they start to become bothering, then institutions are going to go through that.
And we'll cut it here because there's no time. And just let me tell you that we don't worry about this because we have the best blockchain lawyer in France.